My name is Menis Yousry. I originally come from Egypt and I lived in England for almost close to 40 years now. I had 8 careers, and my last career is to be a doctor and family therapist, psychologist. And I started something called the organization called the Essence Foundation. And it started 7 years ago in the UK. And since then, it's spread to 16 countries all over the world, and maybe 5,000-6,000 people have done the courses. And it's presented, as I said, in many different places, different cultures, different languages, and it's been a very exciting experience for me to do this work. I was working in National Health Services as a family therapist supervisor, and I resigned about a year and a half ago to focus my energy on the Essence Foundation and working with people directly without connected to another organization.
So is this course just about family therapy then, or is it much more than that?
No, it's not about family therapy or therapy altogether. In fact, it's actually very difficult to define what therapy is. We could be doing therapy now, you and I talking to you. It could be a therapy. If you sit with somebody and the person is kind to you, you could call that therapy. People pay someone to listen to them, that can be therapy. People pay for someone to be kind to them, that can be therapy. But there's a big rationale behind the creation of these type of courses. Essence Foundation is a part of an evolution of personal development wave that has taken over the world really from the 70s and keep evolving. Maybe it would be a good idea to give you my take on how this work actually started. It might be helpful to position the Essence Foundation after that. My feeling is this: many years ago, people lived in groups together, and if I need support, I have support from people around me. And as we developed, moving gently towards the individualistic society, people start to leave the groups and get together and form small families. And then the family started kind of to fall apart a bit. So if I needed support, I have to find another person to give me support. So I would start to find relationships, because families started to fall apart. Unfortunately, relationships also are falling apart because we are becoming so powerful individuals, and everybody is fighting for himself or herself. Then what's next? Therapy, of course. So we can't find support, so we have to pay for support, because everybody is trying to make it on their own. So there was I think, evolutionary move to bring us together again, so we can actually feel connection and love and support from people around us. There are some cultures in the world today who still live in groups. So they don't need this kind of seminars and courses we do. It is evolved in the West because we have diverted away from the love and connection we have together as groups. So now, of course, this was my view about how this wave started. But of course, when this wave started, it started to divert also, depending on the individuals that delivering these courses. So of course, the Essence Foundation evolved from other organizations, and I started developing it in such a way that I produced some ideas and therapy techniques to come into the course. But I want to be careful about the word therapy. It is actually a very simple word. As I say, we could be doing therapy now talking to you. So I don't want you to be afraid when you hear the word therapy. It is not for crazy people who have problems. The courses I do is for everybody. But really, this is very difficult to explain. The bottom line is this: every person in this world need connection, need to be with people, need to feel unjudged, need to feel accepted, need to belong. Unfortunately, the extreme individualism is put us in the risk of kind of not belonging. It's too much democracy, too much everybody on their own. So A lot of people, when they do my courses, they tell me, you are a magician. I am not. What happened is, when the people come together, I make the environment so loving and peaceful and accepting that things happen by themselves as it was many years ago. My role is like a maestro in orchestra. I keep moving people around, and because I have done these courses for many, many years, by repetition, I started to know what I need to do to make people work together. The real wisdom comes from all of us together. My experience is like this. When I'm talking in a seminar, I started recently to realize I am not talking. Everybody is talking. I happen to be the person who's talking for them. And so when you go to a therapy and sit in front of a person and work with them, you have two consciousnesses in the room. When you have 100 people, you have 100 different consciousness in one room together. Can you see the power of that? And I learned to access the consciousness of everybody who is in the room with me to support one person. When one person is talking, the person does the same thing for the group, become of service to everybody in the group, because we are all exactly the same. This is the big picture behind the courses I do. Of course, I use a lot of techniques, ideas, skills, but these are operational. They are fillers to a context for the spirit of the work that happens between us as a people. When people get together, something magically happens. I don't think it can be explained. Yes.
Wow, it's like a rebuilding the roots of our community.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I'm very sad sometimes when I go to the supermarket and see a very old person on an electric wheelchair moving between the aisles alone, or a little old lady with a basket full of cat food, a little bit of cheese for herself, because this woman needs the cat as a companion, and this man on a wheelchair alone, nobody's there. So what happened in the individual society? We have given up responsibility for the people we love, and we gave it to the system to take care of them. This cannot happen in group culture. When the older you get, the more respectful you become, the more powerful you become, the more people love you and want to be with you. Now we ended up in a world that worship youth and beauty and effectiveness and speed. And then we look at old people as not important anymore. And these people who have lived for years with wisdom and loving to teach us a lot. So, and then we now don't have to worry about them anymore, because they're older, they can go and sit somewhere and they have a meal, morning, lunch, evening, and watch television, and we have to be busy with our lives, I heard in Japan, you can actually go to an agency and you can hire grandparents for your children by the hour, because the real grandparents are busy working. And unfortunately, I find it incredible, especially when I come from a culture where people are much more closer. It doesn't mean the individualist culture is bad, not at all. Not at all. But we need to come back again together and feel the support and love and the connection that we really missed as human beings.
I guess anybody could benefit from being on this course.
Absolutely. Let me clarify something. These courses are not for people who have problems. I actually don't think anybody has any problems, and I can clarify this in a minute. Unfortunately, when we go through a difficult time in our lives, maybe broken relationship or marriage broken down or losing our job, we become a bit vulnerable and we actually try to look for something. So some of us who struggle, they find their way to these courses, but they are not designed for people who are broken. They're designed for everybody. And going back to problems, I think it is better to remove the word problem from our vocabulary and replace it with another word, which is feedback. It is better, because if we think we have problems, we put ourselves in a trap, we cannot get out of it. But if we look at it that we are doing something that is not working, and somebody is trying to tell us something through a problem, then it is very likely that we can find a solution. The courses I do, I made a mistake. I should have called them advanced common sense seminars. They are so simple, but we are trained in this world. In order to grow and be enlightened, we have to work so damn hard on ourselves. We have to go all the way to India to be enlightened and be spiritual. We are spiritual. We have everything here. So many people telling us what I'm just saying to you now. And sometimes it becomes a bit like blackmail. Because everybody tells we're strong, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. But the missing part is this. There are emotions trapped from the past in the form of unfinished business, or our memories that are trapped, that we need to handle it first. And once we handle this, then we can listen to these people tell us you can do anything you want.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's wonderful. And these seminars are held regularly in London, I take it?
They are held in London about 4 times a year, and as I said, in 16 different locations all over the world. And the journey of the seminars has been quite magical, the same way as the seminar happened. When I started here in the UK, people from different countries came and they went back to their countries and then asked me to come. And I go and do the course, and they start an organization. And then I go to another. And I've come across the most magical awareness, revelations, enlightening stories from people. I have been recently in Romania doing seminars, and I didn't realize this part of Romania actually Hungarian. In the middle of Romania, there are Hungarian cities. And the 3rd generation of people, originally Hungarian, and the land was taken over by the Romanians, and they're still refusing to mix with the Romanians. And I was invited to do a seminar for the Hungarians and Romanians at the same time. I didn't even know about that. It's the same similar situation like the Palestinians and Israelis and in Ireland a little. So I'm coming across all these kind of wonderful opportunities to bring the world back together. And my biggest amazing surprise is this. Every time I travel somewhere, I arrive in the airport, and this is what I think. These people have a piece of land and a way to speak. They're protecting a little piece of land, and they have a way to speak so nobody knows what they're talking about. And this is what the world, people think the world is like. It is not like that at all. For all the work I do everywhere, people are exactly the same. Nothing different at all, whatsoever.
If somebody would wanted to find out some more information about your courses, where should they go and look?
They can go on the web, and you can find our website, www.essence-foundation.com.
And also you have some further information. You've written a book.
Yes, written a book, and now a book is in about 4 or 5 countries already. It's called Discover Your Hidden Memories and Find the Real You. This book really gives the real message and the bottom line behind all the work I do. When we are born, in fact, before we are born, a lot of researchers have discovered that when we reach 6 months inside our mother, we become responsive. We begin to realize we are actually human beings, and we feel our environment. This is very important to all the work I do. When we begin to feel our environment, we become very sensitive to the consciousness of our parents around us. So our mother is our environment. So if something was happening to our mother during this critical period before we're born, this is our introduction to our world. So if my mother is not happy, my environment is not safe. And this is amazing. Nature prepares us for what's coming next. So when I am born, it's very likely the environment before is similar to the environment after. So I'm prepared for an environment that's slightly unhappy. The opposite also happens. If my mother is happy, looking forward to having me as a child, the environment is happy, I'm born into a happy environment. When I used to work with a lot of refugees and have children during the war, it's the same thing. The child is prepared for the war before we're born, even. Now, the critical part comes next. Now, the first 2 years of life, our brain is not fully formed yet. There's a part of the brain responsible for our memories. It processes memory. What I mean by that, it put our memory in the past. So if you have a difficult situation happen to you today, tomorrow you can talk about it with your friend and say, yesterday this has happened to me. This process allows the brain to put the memory behind you so you can move on with your life. Unfortunately, this part of the brain is not formed in the first 2 years. So if I had a difficult experience as childhood, by the way, we are not designed for rejection. Human beings are not designed for that. We are designed for connection. So any kind of small rejection that happens with the child does not understand. It doesn't have the concept to say, okay, my mother's upset today, maybe tomorrow she'll be better. The child doesn't know any of that. So automatically there's a response. The response is fear. And the fear stays. The brain does not put the fear in the past. And the fear is a protection, of course, because the rejection may be difficult for us to cope with. As we grow, we start to avoid feeling the fear too. So we create some kind of a character. I call it a protection, so I can survive in my world. So the more I grow, I have this memory that's still going around. It has not settled in the past. It's memory causing fear, causing me protection. So my experience of my world is fear, unsafe. And then everywhere I go, I'm doing my best to be stronger. Guess what? I keep attracting situations, of course, to match how I see my world. This is a crucial message I'd like people to understand it when I do my courses. The way we see our world is not the world. Our perception of the world is not the world. Experience, it is an experience, is not reality. So every one of us has an experience of our world, and that organizes all our life, our business, relationships, absolutely everything. So what most people try to do, they try to change their behavior. You cannot change your behavior because your behavior is manifestation of how you see your world. How many times have you tried so hard to do something different, and then you keep doing it again, over and over again, because you are going in the wrong direction? Once we change our view of our world, our behavior changes by itself. The tragedy is, if I protect myself for 30, 40 years, I cannot stop doing that. Imagine an actor. You give them a part on the stage for 30 years. What's going to happen to the actor? They will think they are that part, not themselves. I use the metaphor in the seminars that if I give you a mask to wear for 30 years, after maybe 10, you will not know the difference between you and the mask anymore. You will think you are the mask. So every moment in our life we face two things. Shall I protect myself or expand my consciousness? Many people choose to protect themselves because they have not got this information available to them. Unfortunately, this information cannot come by words. It has to come by experience. Because the whole thing came into our consciousness through an experience, it has to unfold through an experience too. So the courses are experiential. So I put a lot of people in like situations. Then when they start to react the same way they react in their life, then they discover, this is what I'm doing that's limiting me. Listen, Yes. It is very. I don't have a curriculum. I don't have an outline. The seminar is like life. Of course, there is a framework. Of course, otherwise it will be no limit to the course. But then we will find how I see my work. My job is to clarify to people how they see their world. That's all. Nothing else. It is so simple. But by repetition, I have begun to discover the patterns people have. Once we get through this, we can move on to our future. We can create what we want. We can be leaders. We can be anything we want it to be.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for talking to Positive TV.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.